Welcome to the Yellow Brick Road. Tinfoil hats numbered 8.
I don't know.
It might be 9. I'm Jordan, this is James, and there's apparently a shitload of bomb scares today from high-profile political figures and organizations.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my Twitter feed. This is what it looks like. And these are the people who received bomb threats. Clintons, Eric Holder, George Soros, the Obamas, Maxine Waters, Debbie Washerman-Schultz, John Brennan, the Warner Center, which is, I believe, CNN's headquarters in New York. Andrew Cuomo. Mm. So a shitload of high-profile political figures that all happen to be on one side of the political spectrum.
Very linkable names in more ways than one.
And the reason this is a tinfoil hats one, conspiracy, is because we have no facts, no. We're just idea what's going on. We're just looking at what's happening and then, making some comments on it. Yeah. Also, it initially looks suspicious. Good.
Are you good?
We're good?
Yeah. You're not good. I said we good. It means me and the rest of them. The rest of 3 people. You'll get what's coming to you, no freaking.
So let's first get some context from, we're going to go with the mayor of New York, Bill something de Blasio. Don't know the guy's name, sorry. And here we go.
He looks like he's not corrupt at all.
I don't know anything about this guy.
I don't know either, bro.
Today was an effort to terrorize. This clearly is an act of terror, attempting to undermine our free press, the leaders of this country, through acts of violence. I want to make very clear that the people of New York City will not be intimidated, that we are going to go about our lives undeterred, because the very concept of terrorism is to change us, and we will not allow that to happen. You cannot be terrorized if you refuse to allow the terrorists to win. People of the city have shown time and again that they stand up in the face of these efforts to intimidate. And I want to thank the people of New York City for the way they're handling this situation today. I also want to thank our first responders. Commissioner, to you and all the men and women of the NYPD, thank you for your extraordinary efforts today. To FDNY, Office of Emergency Management, our state partners, our federal partners, everyone worked swiftly to address this situation and contain it. I also want to commend everyone at CNN for the professionalism with which they handled this very troubling incident.
So I did see, I believe I saw most of this, and I saw all of Cuomo's comments, and these are basically going to sound like basically the same thing.
Saying a whole lot without saying much.
Very prepared sounding.
Very vague, too.
Very vague.
Like, and also assuming shit that they probably don't eat like that. Like, where's the evidence? They're acts of terror.
Well, here's the thing.
It's like,
there might be a reason for that, which might be they view the public as children, which is why they both repeat the same thing of, the only way terror wins is if you're scared. Like, that's something you say to a child. Like, no, man, we want to hear the evidence. What's going on here? Right? Instead of saying, listen, don't be scared. We're going to handle this. You need to...
Gotta cradle me.
You want a little more evidence.
I need to be cradled. Everything's going to be okay. The guy with the knife behind you was like, everything will be okay.
Well, I truly think they just look at people as children.
Probably.
At least partially.
I question their integrity, but still.
But also you're going to hear them say that someone was influenced into doing this based on political rhetoric. Basically based on what Trump says. They don't say his name, but they say... Someone asked a question using Trump's name, like, what do you think his words have anything to do with this? and they're gonna basically say you need to tone down the rhetoric because we're dealing with children, and if you say certain things around children, it'll influence them. It's like parents around the dinner table saying, "Don't curse," or "Don't curse around the kids," because they can't handle it.
It seems this sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
Some sort of act that might influence people. Meaning, okay, we have this bogus story, you know, and we present it to the people. See, we need to do this now because you guys can't be trusted. This is dangerous.
Yeah. It's don't have.
We have to regulate these sort of things, like regulations all around.
Don't have loaded guns around children. It's basically that argument, but let's let them continue.
We, at this time, do not have other credible and specific threats against locations in New York City. I want to let all New Yorkers know you can go about your daily routine knowing the NYPD and all these other agencies are here to protect you. It's important to note that this is an ongoing investigation. As we have more information, we will provide it. But I emphasize there is no specific threat against any other location in this city at this time. That said, the NYPD and all of our partners have reinforced our very clear, visible presence at key media locations around New York City and other important locations. So you will see a lot more police presence. That should be reassuring to all New Yorkers. Finally, I want to say, this is a very...
There's the heightened police presence.
Yeah.
Make of it what you will.
That's not a great thing, in my opinion. As far as just how these events are folding out when you look at past events. It's like, it begins again.
Well, they usually... Here's the problem, I think, that most people have with these guys, is that they jump right in with the solutions without first explaining the problem. Right? They're very vague on what the problem is, but the solutions are there's going to be increased police presence.
Okay.
We're going to do this, we're going to do that.
At the same time,
they skip over the, well,
I don't want to
problem.
Yeah, I don't want to harp too much on it, but like, let's say there is an actual problem, like these things were actually sent out, like someone legitimately did it, not, okay guys, we're gonna create this scenario. Okay, we're gonna have some random guy that was influenced by some political rhetoric that sent out these bombs to Obama, Clinton, etc., etc., etc. And then we can create shit. We can do shit with this story, and then we can have more things we can enforce or do whatever, more propaganda or what have you. That's what I mean. That's why I don't trust these guys. I mean, you can look back when the 9/11 attacks happened. What Rudy Giuliani did.
Yeah.
You know how he acted, and it's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, if you look at Corbett's videos on like suspects, and it said Rudy Giuliani's one of them, and the way he moved around and shit like that. He's just a mayor. It's like, fuck, man. They all go together, you know. That's why I don't trust him. But I'm not going to assume here, you know, even though I'd like to.
I take it individual by individual, and right now it's not holding up what they're saying.
It doesn't sound, you know, like,
just on the dumb guy common sense level, it doesn't make sense.
Oh yeah, it's like,
all right, it makes sense, but it looks fishy.
It reminds me of like the chemical attacks, then, in a way. That's why I'm trying to. That's what I mean.
The chemical attacks seem a lot more sketchy.
This is what I meant.
Like, this doesn't seem credible
it's
at all.
It's a scenario,
but I can see this happening.
It's a scenario they deem to be credible in more ways than one. And when you listen to their speech, it's very iffy. Like, they did. We're trying to find evidence for it. Like, okay, so you don't know.
Yeah.
We believe it to be. Like you just said, you knew it happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oops.
It's whatever.
Very painful time in our nation.
I want to whisper.
It's a time when people are feeling a lot of hatred in the air.
And
incidents like this exacerbate that pain and exacerbate that fear. We cannot let the acts of a very few change who we are. It's really important at a moment like this to remember the vast majority of Americans, the vast majority of New Yorkers are good people trying to live in peace with each other. There are a few people, we don't know who they are today, but there are a few people trying to tear us apart through acts of violence. It is imperative that we ensure they fail. It is imperative that we act as the good and decent people that we are.
Not for nothing, this sounds like the George Bush after 9/11 happened. You know, guys, just go out, go shopping. You know, still be Americans, go shopping. I don't know if that means anything, but it felt worth stating.
This is a moment in history that's painful, but it will pass. This too shall pass. But today, the important point is, everyone can rest assured, the NYPD and all other agencies are out in force to protect the people of this city, and to make sure that they can go about their lives safely. Thank you, Governor Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner. First, let's remember that we have the best police force and the best law enforcement agencies on the globe. And we want to thank the NYPD and the State Police and the FBI and the Joint Terrorism Task Force, the Secret Service, all who have worked seamlessly together and are coordinated. And we should take comfort in that level of professionalism that we have in this city and in this state. As everyone is aware, there have been a number of packages that have been received. Last night, there was the Secret Service detected a package at the residence of President Clinton and Hillary Rodham Clinton. They notified the State Police and the NYPD. We personally checked on the President's residence in Chappaqua at about 4:30 this morning, and everything was fine there. This morning, obviously, we have the CNN package, and I want to echo the professionalism with which CNN has handled the situation and the cooperation that they brought to the situation. So I would like to thank them for that. This is the world we live in. Terrorism, the attempt to spread fear, is the world that we live in. It is heightened lately. The mayor is exactly right. There are more tensions than usual. But this is the world we live in. Also, a little perspective. The first terrorist attack in New York City was 1993, 25 years ago, was the bombing of the World Trade Center. So in some ways, this is nothing new. We have lived with this for a long time. Actually, my father was governor at that time. This has been a circumstance of being who we are and where we are. We are New York, and we are an international icon, and for some we're an international target.
Okay, the rest is just going to be political, blah, 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 blah. The typical politician speech, you know, in times of...
Let's not bring up any of the shady things that happened during those times in the event itself.
Yeah.
So...
This will be the point where if there's children watching, please clear the room. This is for adults only. I don't mean children as in you're 12 years old. I mean immature. You should clear the room for this response. There's a reason why these particular people were particularly targeted.
I 100% agree. It's always...
I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying there's a reason why these particular people were targeted by this person.
By both scenarios, in a way. If it is someone that's independent of like my my suspicions, my actual suspicions are this was like a planned thing.
Yeah.
But
oh, this is 100% planned. Oh, do you mean
I
like?
don't know. No.
Do you mean like
That's what I
the
meant.
government did it planned, or do you mean like some
I
individual
meant some
planned?
sort of like group in the government decided to do this in order to, let's say, okay, we can have this to enforce some sort of rhetoric, in my opinion. But at the same time, when you look at the other scenarios, okay, let's say that didn't really happen. Let's say some guy actually did that, actually mailed bombs to these people, like sent them, and it's like, okay, but like there might be a reason why this happened, you know?
Well, let's look at it. Here's
It's not
what
a good thing.
Here's what the mainstream news is most likely going to do.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to say that they're going to basically imply that these are great, honorable people, and it's a crazy person that went after them. It's, what's his name? The psychologist that Cesarian brings up. Artie Lang. Artie Lang. Right? If you create an insane atmosphere, you're going to create insanity.
Well, yeah, like again, like, you know, insane society, you know, the one that feels insane in the insane society might be the most sane out of the ones that were just sort of.
I would go there.
That's what I meant. The ones that were just kind of like la 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 la.
Yeah. The rational response to an insane world.
That's right.
Is insanity.
That's my bad. Poor choice of words, but still, nonetheless, they'll call him or her a political extremist, and they'll prop these people up.
Yeah.
Like, we are strong, we are New York. I'm like, where have I heard that before? Like, where have I heard this shit happen before, you know?
So, yeah, if you look at this just on the surface level, psychologically, we're taking this as, from their perspective, like from their story perspective, that's just some guy or some group, some rogue group that wanted to harm these people.
Yeah.
If you look at it psychologically, and you look at the names who were sent the devices, it's like corrupt.
And you look at
Not saying to do that.
No,
to send devices is a good thing.
No.
That's a fucking shitty thing. It's very dumb and immature and mentally ill to do.
Not advocating.
But you can, for adults only. Come on, think about it. If you can't handle that, please leave the stream.
Yo, I don't want any team players. I don't want any of that. You know, nobody that's. But I'm for her. I don't give a fuck. Get out. You're not here. You're not ready for this shit. Okay. There's a reason. You know, if it's like someone who's just like kind of like a dumbass who decides to, I'm gonna change this shit because they decided to look at some stuff. Anybody can see it. If you look into history of these specific people, corruption. But also look at the specifics of it. There's like horrendous amounts of like things they're connected to that nobody wants to look at. As far as nobody meaning mainstream.
Yes, but once again, taking all these events at face value, they're only targeting certain types of
That's what I meant.
politicians.
It's a specific
Which means
group.
they're ignoring the other side, which means they're not really in it for all the terrible deeds. They're only looking at it from one perspective.
That's if
this team's bad and this team's good.
That's if.
I'm pro-Trump, fuck these guys.
Yeah, which is why I think it's something that I don't, right now, automatically, you know, maybe I'm conditioned, but I automatically am starting to think, doesn't mean I believe it, just saying something that could probably be most likely is that this might be a bunch of bullshit. I don't know.
I was going to wait for that, but let's go into that then.
Just saying.
Let's look at the conspiracy angle. Okay, these particular individuals who have been outspoken either with their voice or with their finances, basically anti-Trump, right? You know, calling him things to dumb, to corrupt, to Russian agent, to all these things.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And the public's starting to sway away from these individuals, other than like the Obamas. Maybe not the Obamas, but these other types of guys are like, okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to curry more favor with the public, you can create a threat against yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
to where you stand out as the victim
and
or the hero.
Yeah, and then you can prop themselves up. They can prop themselves up in the public's view eye and present themselves as the victim and hero. Like, I know it's tough now, but we have to be brave. Like, shut the f-. It's not that hard to fucking think about it. Like, really. So just
look at it. No bombs went off, as far as I know.
No.
I believe there were packages found with powder. Nobody touched the powder or inhaled the powder.
I believe FBI was also linked to this as well. Possibly.
What?
FBI.
Linked to what? Investigating it?
I don't know.
Yeah, they're investigating it.
That's not.
What do you mean?
I don't really know if it was sent to them as well.
Nah, I don't think so.
Vaguely remember seeing like FBI like linked to the whole like scenario.
They investigate. I don't think they were sent anything.
We all know
maybe guys, like
yeah,
actual people.
Well, even so, we all know they're great investigators, right?
Yeah.
They don't do anything bad. They never do. These intelligence agencies here never do anything horrible.
Well, once again, trying to stay away from conjecture and just look at it as it is.
I am.
Right? No devices went off, correct?
Sure.
They found all there might be more out there, but the ones targeting the individuals,
you said yourself. You heard Soros yesterday, and now it's more than 4 names are popping up.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah, so who knows? Tomorrow or later, an hour later from right now, who knows? But what I'm saying is, yeah, none of them went off. It's a very distinct group of people that are very linkable in more ways than one.
Well, they're all linked through Donald Trump and his supporters. They all tote these names out there.
Well, yeah, but I also mean like on the surface and under the surface, linkable.
Yeah,
that's what
I mean. Nah, under the surface, I'm gonna say no on that. If you ask me, they're all sort of coordinated in a way.
Okay.
Whether on purpose or accidental, they're all connected to each other as far as underneath corruptions happenings and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just the names that are sent devices.
Whatever, dude, that's not what I said. For the sake of time.
Either way. So yeah, the conspiracy angle, it's just a conspiracy theory. Not making an absolute answer out of this. Just throwing it out there. Also, there is this. I heard this, and this was extremely interesting. Because it falls right into that theory of them looking at people as children, basically.
CBS News security consultant and former assistant director to the FBI, Ron Hoskow. Ron, great to see you. Ron, when dealing with suspicious packages like these, what is the first thing investigators are going to look for?
Well, first, is the recipient and the sender, do they have some sort of relationship? What does the lettering look like? What does the labeling look like? What's the packaging consist of? All of that, if you start to, wrap, just to take the outer wrapper, there's a lot of potential information to be gleaned from just the outer wrapper. Was it hand-delivered or sent through the mail or sent through a shipping company? If so, what does the outer wrapper tell me about the place of origin? Is there...
Also, I just want to say, when de Blasio and Cuomo were talking about rhetoric, how it could be a problem and get people riled up and to where they start doing violent things. Those are always like key markers in my mind when you're talking about these particular individuals. Yeah. Because as soon as it turns into like when you criticize Israel, you're anti-Semitic. It turns into that scenario.
Yeah.
If you start talking about Debbie Wasserman-Schultz and her links to, rigging the primary against Bernie Sanders. You talk about George Soros funding certain groups. You talk about the Clintons, all their corruption.
You'll be treated the same way.
Like, oh, that's a threat to them.
Yeah.
Just want to throw that out there.
Hey, This doesn't scream suspicious.
And yeah.
Video at that place of origin? Is there external video that might provide me some indicator of a vehicle pulling up that is common with other similarly described vehicles at other points of shipment? All of those things are potential clues for the investigator. Here we're hearing, I was hearing on the way over here today, reports.
Sorry to interrupt, but do you guys like Hillary? I love all people. And I love them so much, I'm willing to point out their flaws. And she might be the most corrupt politician to ever run for president. That's my opinion.
That we're aware of.
That we're, just openly, like, the public can see it. Here's your dirty laundry, the public can see it.
Oh, openly. That's different.
That's what I meant.
I don't like her. I don't hate her. I really don't fucking like her. I don't like a lot of them.
So hopefully the portion of this interview I'm looking for will be here, and it will become an eye-opener, I think. Actually, I think people will just brush over it, but I'm going to fucking call this shit out.
Of the return address being Debbie Wasserman-Schultz and an address associated with her. So quite clearly, she's not the sender of these packages. The shipper or the sender sees that as his, inside joke to himself. But there's much to be gleaned from the packaging. Certainly, the construction of the devices themselves. There is much to be gleaned from the construction of those devices. Law enforcement will be meticulous in determining how to disrupt these devices, doing their diagnostics on the components, doing their diagnostics on the composition itself.
We will never get any of these answers. Maybe years from now, but
25 years from now.
They'll catch the guy, and they still won't show you the evidence.
The guy.
Or people, or whatever.
Looking for fingerprints, as Jeff said, looking for DNA. As you know, we all slough off skin cells all the time, wherever we go. And so just a few skin cells may give them the DNA that they need to match to somebody in an FBI database.
All right, there's a lot of Hold on, yeah. Corbett made a video about this specific thing, such as like FBI, like database, like
James Corbett report.
Yeah, like hair follicles or skin. It's like a lot. Some of that stuff. Some, I don't exactly remember which one, but the hair shit for sure is like that's fiction.
Yeah.
Just being fair to.
I know the video. I watched the video.
Yeah.
I just don't remember it so clearly. Something about how they analyze it.
Yeah.
That certain DNA, like, it might become so similar. Like one DNA, like a strand of hair, the DNA testing from one person to another, where it's like, this is bogus. You can't really tell.
Yeah, but they know it. So I'm just saying. I just wanted to say that.
That's
because they'll push it. We found the hair. Like its DNA is 100% matched.
That's Corbett's conclusion.
Just saying.
That they know that.
Just want to say that. Right.
Also, like the guy says, your hair and skin cells or whatever can fall anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, so how reliable is that?
Exactly.
What if you're just around public places a lot?
Yeah. Yeah. What if like like the.
But I don't know how they do all the evidence.
The nicest man in the world just has dandruff one day, and then he's the terrorist.
There you go. All right.
That leads them to a suspect here. So there's a lot of forensic work going on, and we haven't discussed any kind of internal communication. Was there a note? Was there any sort of internal communication that was a threat in and of itself?
The guy that, we didn't show it, but there's a guy that was speaking, I believe, after de Blasio and Cuomo that stated, it's like, we're not going to go over those details, but they are linked to each other. The way the rhetoric is in these, I guess, letters or whatever.
Oh, letters.
They're
great.
all connected to each other.
That's great.
Fuck.
What?
Mr. Cynical.
What do you mean cynical?
Take the evidence as it is, then make a conclusion.
I didn't make a conclusion. I'm just saying. Where have I heard
Yes,
that?
look at that.
Fuck you.
If so, what's in that? John Miller, smartly decided not to talk about that today. But there is much more that's in the possession of law enforcement than we know. And hopefully they are going to be working around the clock to action all that information.
And in terms of what we know, Ron, were all of the devices active? We know that the one that was sent to CNN was. Do we know that about the various devices?
Yeah, we don't. And so if we're talking about devices that were strictly black powder inside some sort of a pipe bomb, we don't know right now whether this is black pipe, galvanized pipe, PVC pipe, or some other sort of plastic pipe. But all of those are potential tips and clues, and all of those, if mishandled, if it's black powder, have the potential to detonate, to do great harm, whether there was a power source with them or some sort of activation mechanism. Yet to be determined. Law enforcement needs to know that, describe it, and I think hopefully before today is closed out, we are hearing from law enforcement what to look for. DHS has done this in the past with suspicious devices. There is general information out on the internet about what a suspicious device generally might look like. I would think that very quickly today law enforcement is going to be kind of putting out the word, here's what we need to be looking for. What these sorts of suspicious packages are defined as. Is it wrapped in paper? Is it wrapped in plastic? Are they being wrapped at the shipper? I think we'll probably hear very quickly some additional information that will help to raise the alarm for all of us, and particularly for potential targets. What should they be on the alert for?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the targets, because I'm curious what the targets we know about say about the nature of the incident. These are all high-profile leaders in the Democratic Party. What does that tell you?
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. I'm already listening to the way the guy talks. I'm like, I don't like you, man.
This guy, man. This guy.
What? You'll need people.
So, look at that mustache. Something's off here. See those glasses?
Keep laughing.
Well, I mean, that I think we have to take this these initial potential targets as we find them. As you note, these are all, Democratic tied. I don't know that we could say that about John Brennan, but there are certainly voices from the political right that have been very critical of John Brennan, his criticisms of the president. So I think, we're...
This is where when you critique corrupt people, that means you're threatening them. That's just a conspiracy thought in the back of my head.
Not necessarily. It doesn't have to be. For this specific example, sure. Like we don't know, but it sounds like it. But there's definitely events, past where it's like, oh, so you hate Jews. Like, no, I'm saying the Israeli government is corrupt. So you really hate them. You really hate the Jews. Like, fuck, dude. Like, no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, communism isn't evil. So you want us all to die and get raped, Jordan. It's like, what? That's what they do, man. They'll do it subtle. I'm exaggerating the fuck out of it.
That's what politicians do, because they're never the ones that get touched. It's the other.
It's very rare.
It's the janitor in the hallway that gets blown away.
Yeah.
Keeping it real.
It would suck if the CEO did that on the regular. It's like, no one knows my face, but I'll be the janitor today. Be incredibly ironic.
Yeah.
All right.
Looking at folks left of center and in American politics, those who have been louder, we don't know the specific driver of this bomb builder, but we can safely assume, I think at this point, that there are the potential targets are on the political left, and so that would include left-leaning media potentially. I think that would be the starting point. If I'm putting out warnings, I'm probably warning MSNBC and NBC before I'm warning Fox, although I think it would be prudent to warn the media writ large, because today we don't know who this person is. We don't know what his ultimate motivations are, and so I think it's wise for all of us to be more vigilant. If you're receiving this sort of mail and you're politically affiliated in any way, whether it's at home or the office, it'd be smart to raise our defenses.
Well, all of us in this business always get sort of interesting tweets and emails, and you just never know, which ones are from people crossing the line or not. I mean, there are people who get very angry at certain things, and
I think it's coming up soon. My surprise, something CBS just snuck in there.
That's what I mean. It's like this. It's like in wrestling. They'll set it up for someone to make the entrance. They give you subtle hints. Basically, it's like, oh
no, this isn't their big talking.
No,
they
I'm just saying.
Sneak it in there.
I'm just saying. It's like it's not like tomorrow. It's not like 2 days from now, SummerSlam. It's not like I'm gonna get choke slammed by anybody who's 7 feet tall. No way. No, it's not like they have anything to hide. Mask.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, which means it's like I've seen this before. Like they it's like not like to me. It's like, are you guys genuine, or are you guys like reading something? Either way, it's some sort of agenda, in my opinion, as far as whenever they report on shit. But that's just a theory. I don't know. I
don't watch enough of them.
I've seen people critique it enough, and when it's related to specific events, like some of these terrorist attacks, for example.
Well, let's see where they go.
There are people who maybe don't get angry on social media, but stew. So it's a very, it's a difficult line to know when it's been crossed.
Yeah, let's never ask why these people might be angry.
Ah.
It's also not tied to thread of, like, these guys see them as corrupt individuals. Here's why they see them as corrupt. Maybe if you guys did that in the news, they wouldn't be sending bombs out. Just saying.
That, and if they weren't dummies.
If these guys didn't feel so much like their backs are against the wall, like no one's fucking listening to this shit. There's nothing we could do but fight them. Here's a bomb.
That's called being a dummy.
Believe it or not, there's people stockpiling guns as we speak in their basements, waiting for the next civil war to happen.
Yeah, dumb people.
And there might be more than we realize. And this could be why. Because they're just good people. These guys, and these other guys are just crazy, or they're racist, or whatever. They just like Trump, and Trump is racist, and this and that.
Oh my God, man.
So, but my little surprise hasn't happened yet. So,
At moments.
Well, it really is. When I was in charge of criminal and cyber here in the Washington field office, in the wake of Gabby Gifford's shooting, we had a lot of meetings with U.S. Capitol Police, who have a very important role today. A very capable police department. Their responsibilities cover 435 elected members of Congress. And so they're going to have to redouble their vigilance. Every day they are going through it and analyzing and trying to make sense of routine constituent communications, those who change in their nature and their frequency, and those communications that rise to a higher level, to try to understand, is this a real threat? Do we have to put extra security around some of our electeds or more of our electeds than already have them? It is a challenging job for law enforcement, whether it's Secret Service in looking at their protectees, Capitol Police in looking at theirs, threats that are clear, direct, and imminent that end up in the FBI's lap. All of these folks have to be working very smartly and working together to defeat this, to get in front of it and figure out what needs to be prosecuted.
Also, this could also cause the other side, maybe like, I guess Antifa comes to mind for people that they might do the exact in the opposite direction. Okay, we'll target whoever, Rand Paul and Ted Cruz and random Republican dudes.
Yeah. Who knows?
Believe it, and the fact that we don't have more incidents like this tells me that they are working very hard and very successfully. I want to bring in now Bob Cusack. Just
assume that there's a shitload of people like this ready to send bombs out.
Great reporter. Great work. Great.
He is the editor-in-chief of The Hill.
There he
Bob,
is.
let's talk a little bit more about the, political component here. We have not yet heard directly from the president, but he did retweet the vice president's statement by saying, "I agree wholeheartedly." The vice president tweeted earlier there saying, "We condemn the attempted attacks against former President Obama, the Clintons, CNN, and others. These cowardly actions are despicable and have no place in this country." What is the protocol for addressing situations like this at the White House? Shouldn't that tweet have come from the president?
What?
This is why you have guys sending bombs to you.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. How do you not understand that? That you're criticizing him when there's a bomb threat going on?
I honestly believe that it's something they don't understand it. So they have to push and push and push and push an idea, an agenda. I don't think a lot of these people as dummies. They know what the fuck they're doing. So I don't like them.
It's like Jim Acosta was on his way to the White House and slipped on some ice. Shouldn't the president be putting salt down on the roads and on the streets? What's going on there? This is why people don't like you. And then when you have allegedly to the far extreme of it, you're going to have guys that are willing to shoot guns and send bombs out.
And
Once again, adults only. If you're a child and you can't handle that answer, please leave the premises.
And this is also being disingenuous regarding like specific scenarios. It's like a horrible event happened. Well, you see, Tim, I'm going to say a bunch of things I can really say in under a minute, but I have to be very vague about it and stretch words out to make them paragraphs or sentences.
And
That's what this guy keeps doing. That's why I'm like, I don't like you, dude.
And just quote the State Department, basically.
Yeah, so
because you can't have an opinion.
No.
All right.
Tanya, I think it is a little unusual that we first heard from Sarah Sanders and then the Pence tweet. So we heard more from the vice president first, which is interesting. Now, Trump is going to have a press event this afternoon, and I'm sure he's going to be commenting on it. But it really is that the politics are so toxic right now. Obviously, Steve Scalise was targeted because he was a Republican, and now you have the common thread, I'm sure that's going to be part of the investigation, is that these entities and people have been criticized by President Trump. It just shows you how volatile our politics are. Politicians being confronted in restaurants, mostly Republicans on that side. So we're seeing it on both sides.
That's a false equivalent, isn't it?
Yeah, heavily. Not only that.
Kicked out of restaurants versus bombs being sent.
Yeah, it's like, huh? Not only that.
Are you humble bragging or something? What the fuck's going on here?
This too, like the statements, how eerily similar they all are.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying, isn't it odd? It's like say this.
They're worried about
Send this out.
offending people.
Oh. It's like we condemn the attempted violent attacks recently made against President Obama, President Clinton, Secretary Clinton.
Oh, they're suspending blatant honesty for this will keep people calm.
That's what I mean. The whole children shit. It's like, listen, nothing's wrong. Here's a lollipop. Go play. Go outside.
Yeah.
What happened, Mom? It's like, well, Daddy had an accident, and listen, kid.
Fuck. Tries your Chappelle show. Walks out of surgery with like bloody gloves. Like he slaps one and he's like, "Sorry guys, both your parents are dead." Psych, you've been zapped. Sorry about that.
I wanted to keep that out.
Continuing.
The politics of the day are so polarizing.
It's so disheartening. The vice president spoke.
Once again, I don't think that's the case either.
No.
I think credible people on the left consider those guys just as corrupt. Now, if a guy that actually did the bombing or sent the bombs out and stuff, he's clearly on the way far extreme of any side.
Allegedly.
But people that honestly look into these politicians and political figures, I think they all agree about these people as far as they're
now
the corrupt.
I'm just
actions.
saying, what was it, Oklahoma bombing, right?
What about it?
They had the alleged guy that did it.
Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah. And there's a whole story surrounding that. Like, there's the story that you hear from the mainstream and the official story. And then there's the one that's like, well, let's look at this event, like, critically here.
A little bit different, because the mainstream was basically saying the conspiracy route initially. The next day is when they changed the story around.
That's what I meant, though. Like, if you go
but
back
initially they were reporting it like reporters.
If you go back to what I said, though, like, like, who knows what they're going to say an hour from now, a day from now? Yesterday it was Soros, right? And today it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They might just be reporting on it. And then tomorrow it was him, or it was this group. And this is the reason.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you shouldn't trust these people.
People aren't gonna. But
I hope not.
If you type this,
for the right reasons.
If you type this story into YouTube,
they'll show up.
These guys are what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
With a whole bunch of political stories.
Yeah.
You basically have to become like a fan of someone, and then, like, oh, this happened, I'm gonna go to them.
Or a detective.
It's hard to just find it.
Fucking detective work, man. It's like.
It's really hard.
This guy
I tried this.
It's like, who is this guy, and who is he surrounded by? In charge of what?
Well, I tried.
He's credible.
I typed in something, a news story yesterday, and you have to scroll before you get anywhere near
I did that the other day.
Independent type of media.
I typed in.
So you have to basically know your sources beforehand.
I typed in the Saudi journalist.
Yeah, me too.
And holy fuck, I had to go down, and all the way at the bottom, I couldn't find anybody I really wanted to listen to other than the fucking secular talk guy. I'm like, well, you're better than nothing, dude. No offense.
Yeah. All right, continuing. We still haven't hit my my little secret, my little Easter egg hiding in these things.
Today, I want to play what he had to say. Let's listen.
We condemn these attempted acts of violence in the strongest possible terms. These cowardly acts are despicable and have no place in American society. I want to assure you we've deployed the full resources of the FBI, the United States Secret Service, and they're working very closely with law enforcement officials. We'll continue to monitor these investigations, and those responsible will be brought to justice.
I did not take steroids. Thanks, Dad. Ugh.
The king of cynical.
Fuck you, man.
I just want to point out that we do have a picture of the device. This is the device that was sent to John Brennan at the Time Warner Center, CNN.
CNN openly has CIA at their headquarters. Anyways.
It's odd.
I don't know shit about bombs or anything like that, so to me it looks like a microphone.
I don't know. Pipe bombs are
like
a little
pocket
weird.
Knife. I don't know.
Interestingly, he is not affiliated officially with CNN, but that is a picture of the device that was found today and taken.
Oh, it says it's from Debbie Washerman-Schultz. Hold on, can't they trace where the fucking stamps are sent from? Can't they do that?
There's a whole lot of shit I don't know yet.
Right? That's what I heard, that they almost use the stamps as like money. It's like postal service money. So
I'll look into it later.
Obviously taken by authorities. They are examining it. They are taking it apart piece by piece, gleaning what they can, whatever clues it will offer up to whoever sent this. Again, you can see also that the return address to this one is Debbie Wasserman-Schultz, which we believe at this point is also the return address on the one that was reportedly sent to Eric Holder that ended up in Debbie Wasserman-Schultz's building in Florida.
And based off of our credible reporting, we believe she is a suspect. Just saying.
Mr. Cynical. Now, conspiracy mind, like, just use this address and you send these out. We'll threaten these high-profile people, and then they'll become the victims. We all win. Nah. Conspiracy theory.
It's so cynical now.
Tinfoil hat. Just throwing it out there.
Cynical. Yeah.
So again, we are getting bits and pieces throughout the day, clues coming together, but that is a picture of the device. You know, Ron, if you're still there, I just want to ask you something really quickly following up on that. So we saw that picture. Again, it's the same return address. So would you be surprised if maybe all of these packages have return addresses that have other Democrats' names on them?
Not in the least. I think we have a would-be bomber, the person constructing these, thinking they are being clever, and perhaps looking for a doubling their opportunity. If the sender address is bad and the sendee or the return address is good, maybe they see this as doubling their opportunity to do harm. That if they don't get Eric Holder, they can somehow get somebody in Debbie Wasserman-Schultz's home or staff or herself.
Right.
Very unlikely that a congressperson is going to open this sort of mail addressed to them. There are screening procedures for protectees on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, I'm just saying here. Like, what makes you think they're just gonna walk up, open the mail? Like, don't you know these people have shit? People do that shit for them, whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
Screening process before any of these high-profile names.
Yeah.
Which makes me already think it's like really?
It's also weird. How is
Really?
whoever gonna detonate these things? Like, was there timers on it?
Oh, there could be.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I'm not a bomb expert. All I'm saying is this looks highly unlikely.
Was it touch sensitive, as in, but then someone had to open the package to find out there was something in there in the first place? Unless it's like bomb sniffing dogs or something found it. Maybe.
I'm not really sure how pipe bombs work. The last time I looked at it, I thought it was like somewhat like a manual thing.
You mean?
Like
someone pulls a lever and it goes off?
No, not like a lever, like a
you mean
switch,
a detonation?
something like that.
But how would they know if the person?
I don't know. That's why I don't know. But it just seems all very fishy. Like we'll get them. Like the terrorists wanted to kill them all. It's like, well, I don't know, man. If it was someone, like actually, which I don't really think, but it's like, how the fuck do you expect that to get to them?
Yeah.
Like, really? I can't send a gift. I can't send a present to Debbie Wasserman-Schultz and expect only she's going to get it. And only she will open it. It's like, really? No, they're going to fucking go like, what's in here? Send it through screening shit.
Once again, if you go by the main story, it could be just threatening.
I don't know, man.
Just to say, hey, we could do this.
I don't trust them.
We can send you all this shit at random parts. Or, around the same time to all these different people. I don't know though.
FBI, the White House, Secret Service. So it's unlikely that the true target is going to open any of these, but the risk of collateral damage is great.
Right, and Ron, are you able to see the same image that we are? I'm just curious what you make of this bomb. It looks very rudimentary. It does not look very sophisticated. What does this picture of the device tell you?
It's relatively small, but again, black powder with a compacted or contained inside a pipe, whether that pipe is PVC or iron, galvanized steel. That's all potential shrapnel.
So that's enough to be deadly. What you're looking at there is enough to be deadly.
Yeah, absolutely. If this is filled with black powder, just trying to take off or put on the end caps because of friction. Black powder is very sensitive to friction, and just trying to take off the end caps of something like this can cause the device to detonate. So this is still very, very concerning. Law enforcement still has their work cut out for them. We don't know what, the initiation source is here, if it's a battery, if it's something else, a watch. but law enforcement will try to separate the initiator from the explosive and do some additional analysis. But this could, just black powder filled inside of a pipe like this can cost somebody their hand, their arm, or their life.
And is this a relatively easy device to learn to make?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's instruction on the internet that
I'm sorry,
gives guidance.
we're going to go into the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, who's speaking live. Let's see if he has something to say about the bomb incidents.
Today we gather to express our gratitude to an exceptional group of Department of Justice employees and to honor people from outside the department who have put service before self in support of our mission. We're honored to be joined by many family members, friends, and colleagues of the award recipients. The remarkable achievements that we celebrate today required a lot of talent, and they also took a lot of time and effort. A large share of the credit is due to those who supported the recipients throughout their lives in developing the talent, and recently, as they devoted the time and effort required to achieve these great successes, and we are grateful for your support.
Evo Dallas says, I thought the Democrats wanted a fight. I don't think anyone wants to fight like that. That's called dirty fighting. That means you have no argument and you're relying on violence.
That's what weak people do.
Yeah.
At this time, I ask you to please rise and join us in the presentation of the colors by the Joint Armed Forces Color Guard of the Military District of Washington.
All right, our producers are going to keep listening to what Rod Rosenstein is saying there and let us know if he says anything of note. Meantime, Bob, I'm going to go back to you.
They're basically just like, he's not saying anything important. They'll let us know if he says something we care about.
If you wouldn't mind reminding our viewers about, some of the backstory with Debbie Wasserman-Schultz and the Trump administration. Why would these individuals particularly be targeted by a sort of a right-wing school of thought?
Well,
that's all I get is a head shake.
They're certainly targets of Trump's tweets, and he has. But then again, he's also criticized a lot of Republicans when he was running in the Republican primary. Debbie Wasserman-Schultz was obviously the head of the DNC and actually attracted criticism from the right, but also from the left. Basically accused of rigging the Democratic primary process,
Which I would agree with.
Yeah.
Amongst other things.
Or Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders, and so that she's been a controversial figure both for Republicans and Democrats.
I hate that lukewarm response.
Wait, a lightweight.
Controversial figure? Like,
what a lightweight response.
Are you a journalist? Is that person a journalist?
Oh, dude, he's a...
But why exactly she would be targeted now? She's no longer head of the DNC. Eric Holder is someone who is seriously thinking about running for president in 2020, one of about 36 major Democrats who might run. So there is a thread certainly on the left here, and of course Trump has gone after CNN repeatedly as president. So the amazing thing here is that when you think back to the 2000 presidential election, it was a hotly contested election. It went to the Supreme Court. No violence broke out, which I thought was remarkable at the time. Unfortunately, if that ever happened again, there surely would be violence because politics have become so vile.
We are
Political analyst. What do you want?
different time. And what about John Brennan? Why would he?
Still waiting for my little spiel. They're taking too long to get there.
Be a target here.
Another target for President Trump. Brennan has been critical of the Trump administration, has been critical of the president. He's been on TV a lot. I know he's not formally with CNN, but he's done a lot of network interviews, and certainly it is a pattern of everybody who has been targeted certainly has been critical of the president. CNN anchors have been critical of the president, as well as other anchors, but at the same time, CNN is certainly the target of when Trump is talking at rallies. I think it's going to be very interesting. Trump is doing a lot of rallies over the next couple of weeks with the midterms. Will he talk about Hillary Clinton? Will he talk about CNN and go after the media? And the other last thing I just want to note is that Mike Pence has been a champion for the press, both in Congress. He's a former broadcaster, so I'm not surprised that he had very tough words today.
And now,
See, that's the conspiracy part right there, right? It's like, let's see if he goes after CNN and after these politicians now.
I love the perfect way you pause the video itself. That right here, this dude's face. She's like, I love it.
They don't realize they're reintroducing steroids. They're giving Trump another cycle of steroids every time they do this, and they lack some sort of like a. When it's so obvious that there's a bias and things like that, all it does is give steroids to Trump and his followers. All right.
now, will the White House be operating any differently today because of the situation?
I would think so. I think this is going to be a true test for President Trump, is that you want to unify the country as much as you can. Obviously, he's a polarizing figure, and you either love Donald Trump or you hate him. But I think this is going to be a test of can he calm everybody down and assure them that the authorities are looking into this and not really do a controversial tweet that's only going to make the situation worse.
You know, I wonder if we could put this situation, which is one of increased political tension, which is spilling over into violence, and we're just 2, weeks ahead of the midterms. Can you put it into context historically? I mean, we hear about how, much turmoil there was in the late 60s and 70s in the United States, and there was certainly a lot of political violence then as well. Are we approaching those levels?
Oh, I think so.
I think the 60s were a little different because one's like to end war and to end open racism and all these things going on here.
Yeah, and people were shot.
Their problems seemed a little more glaring. This seems more like, I don't even know what they're arguing about. They both agree on war.
Another great equivalency.
They both agree that large corporations should take the largest amounts of money. Mm-hmm. So I don't see it.
They're champions of the people. What can I tell you?
I think it's just the population itself is just like, oh, they either pick sides of he's corrupt or this other person's good. Or the parties, they're corrupt and we're not, or they're corrupt and we're not. Then you have the people I think that get the most viewing from, that get the most credibility, or some people that sit sort of like in an honest space.
Mm-hmm.
So I think so, where you have, when you talk to Homeland Security officials, they're worried about terrorism as like a lone wolf. Here in politics, they're also concerned about lone wolves who are jacked up because of politics and because it's become so inflamed. And maybe it's because of talk radio, maybe it's because of social media, maybe it's the media in general playing to those conflicts. But certainly all it takes is for one deranged individual to cause chaos. And of course that's what they want too. They want attention. And we don't even know. This could be multiple people. Who knows? But it is something that I have never seen in politics. It was getting hotter, certainly in the Obama administration. And then when President Trump came over and became president, it has gotten worse. And that's because the rhetoric, I think, on both sides has gotten really out of control.
You know what? I wonder, though, if you would make the leap, and this is a leap, that, in some ways the rhetoric getting so heightened and getting so violent had a little nudge by, the Russian bot machine.
Yes!
Sort of certainly helped inflame passions.
Yes, there it is. They tied into
and it only took them about, how long is this video? 3 hours and 20 minutes to do it. Like, not yet. Not yet. Now.
We have come full circle. Full circle. Clearly,
fuck them, man.
The Russian influence.
Fuck
them.
That
Russia investigation that they've basically given up on is now reignited. And we can further blame the Russians for Donald Trump and for all our problems.
Fuck these guys, man. Seriously.
Full circle. Let's just hear his response real fast.
I can't wait.
You know, could we on some level hold them indirectly responsible for some of this?
Actually, I have to say it. Fuck, that is bullshit. That's another art. That's another
indirectly responsible for this.
That's another you guys are just children argument. That's what they're telling you, right? They're telling you you're children, and a meme or a social media post will completely turn your world upside down, and you will vote for the Russians candidate.
If Jordan wakes up in the daytime and I show him a meme telling him that, you know, well, it looks like you love men. It might compel him to love men.
And mind you, not even good memes. Just
that's why I said that one.
Also, people already believed these things before the memes. That's how the memes got popular. They're like, oh, I agree with that. Here you go.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, what is this? Hillary with horns and Trump with a halo over his head? I'm changing my views right now.
Or these things, the top 10 best Trump moments.
Yeah. And by the way, they all weren't in favor of Trump.
I'm just saying.
There was anti-Trump. There was Black Lives Matter. There was white nationalists. I think it was just a money-making scheme.
Yeah.
Right? We get enough views.
Yeah.
That means we can dish out enough advertising. Thus, we get paid for that advertising.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I think, I mean, this is exactly what Russia wants. This is why they interfered in the 2016 election. And now, recently, remember, Donald Trump said that China was interfering. We haven't got details yet on what exactly they're doing, but certainly...
What a big surprise, China now, huh?
Well, like, apparently this is why. This right here is why the Russians hacked our elections. Well, they didn't hack them. They meddled in it.
Oh, my God.
Well, they didn't meddle in it because they didn't affect the election at all. You know, they didn't really affect it. They were affecting people's votes or affecting people's state of mind. They're creating a division. No, people were already sort of dividing because of the whole Trump and Clinton. One candidate being so obviously corrupt, another candidate we have no fucking clue about, and he's claiming to clean out the corruption. So it whittles down to they did nothing really. They just existed and repeated the opinions of other people.
This guy.
Repeated already existing opinions.
Anybody that peddles this fake ass story, it's been debunked. Like,
this is a large leap in logic.
There has been.
I was gonna say this earlier. I just forgot. I'm like, if this is an illegitimate scenario, like this wasn't pre-planned, this wasn't one of those false flag things, you know. I'm like, watch them use this. They'll do this. I'm not surprised. They'll fucking use some sort of horrible event to push something. What? Ready?
I think it's just if that was the case, it would be just a curry favor, change opinions around.
All I'm saying is
sympathy, and
I'm not surprised if they
affect voting.
Some sort of traumatic event happens, then they'll use it to their favor.
Yeah.
Intelligence showing that Vladimir Putin wants to divide this country. He wanted to divide it even further in 2016 and continuing the process going into 2018. So I definitely...
None of that is substantiated. He's basically making that up.
I think that they are to blame at least somewhat for this because they are exacerbating the political divide in this country.
Bob Cusack, Editor-in-Chief of The Hill, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I remember his name.
I won't. Because I heard that opinion too many times.
I'll remember him.
Okay, so our last little video we'll look at. I haven't seen any of this. He hasn't seen any of this. This is
a bunch of tool bags in a room.
Trump, who was supposed to give us, I believe, a speech on like opioid abuse or something. Yeah, it's there on the screen.
It's not like opioids have anything to do with, you know. There, I'll save it for later.
Actually, let me fucking hide this shit. Maybe I won't slow down the computer too much. Mike Tyson. Okay, this is Trump, or Donald Trump and Melania Trump. Let's see what happens.
Please sit down.
Sit down.
Before I begin, I want to take a moment to talk about today's news and the attempted attacks on President Clinton, President Obama, their families, public officials, individuals, and organizations. We cannot tolerate those cowardly attacks, and I strongly condemn all who choose violence. I'm grateful to the Secret Service, as well as the local and federal law enforcement, for all they do on a daily basis to keep us safe and encourage people across the country to choose kindness over hatred.
Same talking point, same thing.
I'm holding it in. Holding it in.
I want to welcome you all to the White House to reflect on the progress this administration has made in tackling the opioid crisis epidemic, which my husband will talk about in a few minutes. I must say I'm proud of our president and the work being done in the White House and across so many agencies to help those affected by drug abuse and addiction. Just last week, I visited Thomas Jefferson University Hospital.
Skip ahead for a little bit. Let's see.
It's like the U.S. does anything to bring drugs in this country, right? No.
Although
I couldn't.
The opioids are pharmaceuticals, I believe, right? That, and then you have the heroin and all that shit.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So they're straight up made here, not just shipped in.
Big Pharma.
Okay, so let's see if Trump says anything.
Anything of substance.
If not, we're getting the fuck out of here. What a man. What a manly man.
Like either Brett Favre.
I want to thank you very much, Melania. I know how hard you've worked on this. And that's just one of many languages that you know. So it's just amazing the way you can do it. Thank you very much, darling. Appreciate it. Also, I want to thank Mrs. Pence for being here. You have been just so terrific working alongside of our great Vice President. And thank you very much, Karen. Really appreciate it. I'd like to begin today's remarks by providing an update on the suspicious packages and devices mailed to current and former high-ranking government officials. The safety of the American people is my highest and absolute priority. I have just concluded a briefing with the FBI, Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security, and the U.S. Secret Service. As we speak, the packages are being inspected by top explosive experts, and a major federal investigation is now underway. The full weight of our government is being deployed to conduct this investigation and bring those responsible for these despicable acts to justice. We will spare no resources or expense in this effort. And I just want to tell you that in these times, we have to unify. We have to come together and send one very clear, strong, unmistakable message that acts or threats of political violence of any kind have no place in the United States of America. Thank you very much.
You can't pause when they clap.
Now, I think it's loud clapping because it's, oh, see, he's compassionate towards Democrats and blah, blah, blah. This is what happens when people get drawn in and snaked into these arguments, into these base level, dumb, tribalistic, team versus team arguments. He gets applauded for saying this.
Simplest.
That should be obvious, right? Like, oh, this is condemned. Good job. Like, literally standing and applauding.
9/11 was bad. It's like, really?
Yeah.
I wish it was like, you know, a crowd of like somewhat like, you know, like morally intelligent. Like, we were supposed to stand and clap.
Yeah. And
Oh.
he's soaking it in.
Oh my god. You shouldn't be here.
It's like The Rock when he's on the top of the turnbuckle.
Right,
Like,
he holds the belt up.
see if there's anything else said.
See his nose. Fuck was that?
Because it's streaming.
Shunball.
It's a very bipartisan statement. I can tell you from both sides. We both agree on that.
God damn it.
This egregious...
Very bipartisan statement indeed.
Yes, I needed to state that. In fact, I just said that.
I have an hour to fill in. This is filler.
That's nothing to be praised over.
I helped a homeless man today.
Misconduct is abhorrent to everything we hold dear and sacred as Americans. My administration will provide additional updates as they become available, and I just want to thank everybody for their understanding. We're extremely angry, upset, unhappy about what we witnessed this morning, and we will get to the bottom of it. We're gathered together today to address America's drug and opioid crisis.
You could tell the speech started then.
Yep. It's like this.
All right.
We gather today. It's like, oh, here we go.
So, and not much said there. Whenever you gotta listen to the journalists. Those are the guys you gotta listen to. The politicians are gonna all say the same fucking thing.
This reminds me of like, you know, that one day we were like heavily listening to like the night before or the night of missiles being launched.
Oh yeah, dude. The mainstream news,
ridiculous shit that was said was like that alone. If anybody's gonna pay attention at that point, that alone should have been, all of you get out. Like just like hordes of people just staying outside. Leave.
If you're into conspiracy, or you just think the mainstream news is corrupt, when major events happen, you should just be glued to your television or your whatever laptop or iPhone or whatever. You should be glued to that, listening to them, because it's fucking gold. It's golden. It's beautiful. It's a sunrise over the horizon. It's like, you can't miss this one. It's right there for you.
I gotta make sure I don't eat before I watch that.
If you want to even like, let's say someone called you dumb and you wanted to feel smart, just go watch major events happen. Turn on the mainstream news. You'll feel a lot better about yourself. And with that said, subscribe if you feel like. Comment. Please comment. Definitely comment. And as always, watch our other videos and thumbs down.